A dishonest guy is just trying to sleep with you as soon as he can. He doesn't really care what the woman thinks. He's just trying to get something from you.
Tell me more.
So you can fall in love with somebody who's not good for you. A lot of people might not like hearing that, but it's true. Behind every a that broke his heart, and behind every bitch is an that broke her heart. Men get trapped by sex. Women get trapped by love.
You said that the problem with toxic dating advice for men is it actually works on women. And because you're the guy who sold over 20 million copies of The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F, and you've taught millions of men on healthy, honest dating, you're literally the perfect person to help us decode the difference between horrendous manipulation and genuine, beautiful interest. So today we're going to play a game called Is He Into You or Is He Just Playing You? I'm going to give you some real pickup artistry advice, and I want you to help teach us women how to spot the difference. You ready? All right, let's go.
Okay.
So I've got number one with the pickup artistry advice, which is probably one of the worst, which is neg her. Explain that to me. Why does it work?
So the neg is it's a classic tactic from the pickup artist world. The idea, it's basically a backhanded compliment. So it's like diminishing the woman, but in kind of an ambiguous way. Like it's not just outright insulting you. It's like saying something like, oh, your shoes are really interesting. Did you get them at Kmart? It seems innocent on the surface, but like really he's just trying to make you feel bad and insecure about yourself. And the psychology behind it is that if he can poke at your insecurities, the natural human reaction anytime somebody makes us feel insecure is that we want to prove ourselves to them. We want to be validated by them. And so it's to create a dynamic with the woman where you're seeking his approval. And once he has you in that dynamic, it's much easier to hook up with you.
All right, thank you for that breakdown. So now I have a question. How do you know if he's being honest and just being truthful, like actually I don't like that skirt, versus someone who's actually deliberately trying to chip away your self-worth?
The short answer is that he's being honest if he's not looking for a reaction, right? So if I tell you I don't like something and I am not sitting here waiting for you to try to like explain to me or convince me that it's actually a good thing, that I should like it, it means I'm probably being honest. If he's manipulating you, then he's probably gonna sit there and be like, okay, now convince me, win me back, right? A lot of these manipulative tactics, they introduce a power dynamic between two people, and you start to feel like you're in some sort of competition with him, but it just creates a very unhealthy dynamic, and you really can't build any sort of sustainable or healthy relationship on top of it. By the time I met my wife, I guess I had become such a zealot for honesty in my relationships that we'd be going out, for a date night, and she'd be getting ready for like an hour, and she'd come out in her outfit and she'd say, "How do I look?" And in that situation, which is a situation that 99.9% of men will lie and say, no matter what, you look amazing, oh my God, I would be honest. And I would say like, yeah, I don't like your outfit. And the first 5 or 10 times this happened, she got very upset. She was like, you are such an asshole. And she'd storm back into the bathroom and like take her top off and like start putting other things on. But it's funny because after a while, what happened is that she realized that when I compliment her, when I say, wow, you look beautiful tonight, she knows I'm being honest. I'm not just being a nice guy. I'm not just like saying that because that's what your boyfriend's supposed to say.
I love that story so much. There's the honesty because I care about you so much that I want to be transparent with you. And if you don't look good, I'm going to tell you that so that you can trust me. And then there's the neg her part that's like, I'm going to say something just to get a trigger out of her, just to get her more interested in me. It's like you can do an action that can appear to be somewhat similar, but yet it's completely different in its interpretation.
Yes, absolutely. I can compliment somebody and be a very mean person. It can be very malicious in the way that I'm complimenting them. I can also compliment somebody just out of the goodness of my heart because I really believe, So it is ultimately, don't just look at the words, look at the intention behind the words. What is motivating what they're saying? And are they saying it to get a response? Is it conditional on some response out of you? If it is, then like that's a red flag. Ideally, honest people and healthy relationships, people communicate unconditionally. They say things without expecting anything in return.
Oh, that's so true. All right, we're going to move on to the next one. So don't show her too much interest. Now, the thing with this, I've got a question. Is he taking it slow Or is he playing emotional games with you? How do you know the difference?
Ask him.
Oh. What would you say?
So the funny thing about the pickup artist world, none of those guys are trying to take it slow. They may feign disinterest. They may pretend like they're not into you. They may play games with you, like not ghost you a couple times to like get you to try to earn them back or whatever. But ultimately, a dishonest guy he's basically just trying to sleep with you as soon as he can. And if he's waiting, it's because he thinks he needs to wait. It's not because he wants to, right? So I would say ask him, and if you don't get a straight answer and like a logical explanation that's mature and well thought out and seems vulnerable, then I wouldn't trust it. I wrote this article back in 2013 and it went super, super viral, particularly among women. It was called Fuck Yes or No. And it's for situations like this, where it's like, if you're in a situation, if it's not a clear fuck yes signal from him, and it's not a clear fuck yes signal from yourself, then it should be a no. So if you ask a guy something like that, like, hey, are you interested in this? How are you feeling about this? Are you trying to take it slow, or, what's going on here? And he just gives you the runaround and makes up all these kind of bullshit excuses and, has all these like vague answers going on. That's not a fuck yes. So it's a no.
All right. Fuck yes or fuck no. I love it. Nice and clear. Okay, so we've got the next one, which is a pickup tactic, which is creating jealousy. So how do you know if a guy's trying to deliberately trigger your jealousy in order so that you keep chasing versus he actually didn't do anything wrong. He just triggered some insecurity in me. And it isn't that he's trying to manipulate me, it's that I'm actually insecure.
Yeah. A lot of people get jealous in very irrational situations. They read things into situations that aren't there. They imagine behavior that maybe isn't happening. So with this one, I would actually start with yourself. Say like, what am I really jealous about? And also this answer is completely different depending on like, is this a guy you met 5 minutes ago or have you been dating him for 5 years? Because those are like two completely different scenarios. If you're getting jealous of a man who you've been with for 5 years and he's like doing all these behaviors that are triggering you, yeah, that's a huge problem. Like by this point, you should have had a number of conversations with him and set various boundaries within the relationship. So that is a sign that there's an issue within the relationship. If this is a guy you met 5 minutes ago and now he's like talking to some other girl on the other side of the bar and you're like getting all pissed off because like, hey, who does he think he is? It's like, well, maybe that's you. Maybe you should take a look at yourself and realize that like this guy that you've known for all of 5 minutes seems to have a lot of sway on your how you feel in the moment.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to move to the next one, the always be in control. So this again is, as a woman, I'm just going to be honest, I love my husband being in control, especially even when we first started dating. He was chivalrous, he would take the lead, he would pay the bills, he would hold the door open. Like, I freaking love that.
Yeah.
And so where is that fine line between someone being very chivalrous and attentive and just wanting to take the lead versus someone that's like, I want to control this situation so I can manipulate her any way that I want?
Yeah, I would say it comes down to how well do they hear no, right? So I would say if a man is assertive and confident but also respects you, if you say no, I don't like that, or no, I don't want to do that, he'll listen to you and adapt and he'll be totally fine with it. A man who's trying to control you and from an unhealthy place, a very toxic place, he's not going to handle it well. He'll argue with you, he'll fight with you, he'll gaslight you, he'll try to tell you that you're crazy, you're stupid, like you don't understand. So it really just comes down to how well does he hear no?
From the outside, when you say it like that, it's like, how do people get trapped? Like, why would they ever be in a relationship like that? But because I've been there before my husband, I was like, it happened slow.
Yeah.
And you don't even know how that happened. Like, it's just heartbreaking.
It's also, I mean, a lot of it's easy to say here, but like, there are a lot of situations that are very ambiguous, right? Like my wife and I feel like we have a very healthy dynamic, but obviously like we get into big arguments about things and we will, she'll tell me she doesn't want to do something and I'll get really upset and sad about it and argue with her, so it is hard to know when it bleeds over into an unhealthy dynamic. But I think at the end of the day, I respect her and I respect what she wants, and I try to, we make compromises for each other. And I think that's ultimately what you look for is like, are you with somebody who is willing to make a compromise for you and is willing to take your needs and wants into account and value them as much as their own.
All right, we'll be right back with Mark, but real quick, if you're done playing small, if you're done being pushed around and you're ready to build unshakable confidence in every single area of your life, then smash that subscribe button down there, because every episode of Women of Impact is here to help you build your confidence, own your worth, set strong boundaries, and make sure that you never lose your voice or your power again. So go ahead, smash that subscribe button. Now, back to the episode. The ambiguous word really hit me, actually, because I think that that's so true, and that's how you end up getting trapped, because it's never black and white. If it was, then we'd, all be safe and we'd be fine. And with the pickup artistry advice, as I was going through it, I was horrified, but also I was like, oh, I can actually see why it works, because it is sadly aimed at women who are already vulnerable, women who are already insecure. And so basically now it just taps into all of those things for women, and that becomes the trap. And it's the ambiguousness that is hard, because that's why I really want to go through this list, because I don't know sometimes. Is it controlling, or is it someone just taking the lead? And sometimes it's that really freaking fine line.
Yeah, and this is the uncomfortable secret or truth that the pickup artist guys or the red pill guys don't like to hear, or don't kind of refuse to admit, which is that this stuff only works on insecure women. It's yes, it works, quote unquote, but it works on women who feel bad enough about themselves, or who are unsure enough about themselves, or who are desperate enough for validation that they will gladly fall for these sorts of tactics over and over. The secure, healthy women with good boundaries, they ditch you within 10 seconds. And I think it's not a coincidence that a lot of these men from these subcultures develop extremely misogynistic views around women in general, right? Because it's every woman that they've had close experiences with has been a very insecure woman. And in many cases, the women that they've been with have also likely been very manipulative and controlling themselves, right? So it's you date what you are. And if you decide to become a very controlling, manipulative person, you're gonna end up dating controlling, manipulative people. And it's human nature, right? You don't want to admit that you're the problem. You want to just pretend all women are bitches, or all women are selfish, and it's well, no, just the women you're dating. And it's because you're selfish.
Okay, so there's some honesty there that I never want to shut down honesty. So that's one reason why I want you on, because you always say exactly what you feel and what is true.
Yeah.
There's a little controversy in what you just said, though, that I'd love to address. So you say you attract what you are. It doesn't feel true to me. And let me give you an example, and we can maybe talk through this. So a lot of my community are people pleasers. And I really want to help people. I got into this relationship. He was this guy, and he seemed so wounded and sweet, and so I cared for him. Turns out he's a grandiose narcissist and been manipulating you, and you have been left stripped down to your core of who you don't even know who you are anymore. That doesn't seem like you're dating the person you are.
My immediate answer is people pleasers are also manipulative, right? So it's who are you to fix somebody's life? Who are you to decide what this person should be or should not be? Who are you to decide what his potential is? Sorry, a lot of people might not like hearing that, but it's true, right? And if you go into relationships thinking about the potential of the person that you're dating instead of who they are, you're going into it conditionally. You're going into it with well, I'm gonna date this person because I think I can fix him and make him this way. That's not a loving relationship. And people pleasing it's difficult. It's a tough one, because on the surface, it is admirable. You are doing all these admirable things. You're oh, look at all these things I did for him. And I helped him here, and I helped him get a new job, and I picked him up when he wrecked his car, and I took him to rehab when he had his drinking problem, and all this stuff. And it's you look like the saint all the time. But why are you signing up for this? Why are you?
All right, I relinquish that. I understand what you mean. The difference, at least for me though, is one is a manipulative tactic. So let's say the narcissist, for instance, it's manipulative tactic to find someone who's vulnerable, who I control, who I can overpower in a dominant way. People pleasing, I get it, sure, completely actually agree, is manipulation. But it doesn't come from a I'm gonna get ya kind of way, wahaha.
Yeah, I would say in my experience, the number of narcissistic men who are consciously malicious is very low. Most of men's bad behavior is also, it's motivated by the exact same thing, insecurity, right? It's like he grew up in a fucked up family. He got bullied and pushed around his whole life. He got his heart broken by the only woman he ever cared about, you know? And so his map of the world is, you have to do these things because it's the only way you can survive. And that's not to justify it. I'm not excusing it. But like most bad behavior, it originates in some form of survival mechanism that originated in trauma. So my experience with most of these, and I coached hundreds of these men, I would say 95 to 98% of them meant well. They were just very kind of emotionally screwed up and had a lot of issues. And I would put my younger self in that category as well. So when they go out and they're lying to women, or they're being pushy, or maybe they're being a little controlling or manipulative, they're not seeing it as like, haha, like my final master plan is almost complete. Like
that's how I interpret it.
It's, you know, that's like the Hollywood version of it. No, like the real version of it is just like, he's desperate for affection and validation just as much as she is. And he's been taught that this is the only way to get it, is by being aggressive, overbearing, and pushing his will on the people. And it's not to excuse the bad behavior, but it, you know, maybe it is to explain it.
I really find it important to understand. So I love the explanation, even if I hate it. Like, I think it's so important because I'm here to understand how men think and then give women the tools in order for them to be able to stand up, be confident, and own their power. Like, that's my whole thing. So even as we're talking through it, like, thank you for being honest about where men are coming from and why they're using these tactics. Because if you feel shitty about yourself, if women are always bullying you, if you feel picked on, if boys make fun of you, and someone comes and is like, this is the magic. This is what's gonna make people like you. I get it, like, I understand why. It's just where it then spills over, where it's then, now you're trapping a woman and you're manipulating a woman, that's where then I have a hard time.
Yeah, and it's a lot of these guys too, you know, I'll say this, a lot of them, they don't have the best social skills. They don't read the room super well. I actually want to return to something that you said very briefly as kind of an aside earlier. You mentioned when you introduced the taking control, and you said that you mentioned very briefly, like, men are expected to take initiative. I want to double click on that because I feel like the biggest problems that women experience, men never see. And that's the fact that women are just exposed to all these guys that they wish they weren't exposed to. That they have to deal with all these men approaching them all the time. That it's just like, God, like, get out of my face, dude. Like, holy shit. Men never see that or experience that. So a lot of men assume women have it easy because they're like, well, you just have to dress up and get cute and 20 guys are gonna come talk to you. Or they don't realize it's the 20 guys you don't want to hear from that are doing that. What women don't understand about men is that if you don't approach a woman, and if you don't message them, and if you don't take initiative, you're gonna be single for the rest of your life. So you have to learn how to take initiative. You have to learn how to be rejected. You have to learn how to embarrass yourself. And it's a very intimidating and scary thing. And especially if you take a guy who's very insecure and has been picked on a lot in his life, and, you know, feels like a loser, or is like has like very low self-esteem, but he wants to date somebody and he's got to put himself out there. What you get is a lot of overcompensation. You get a lot of guys who overdo it, and you get a lot of bravado and macho bullshit. And it's really like, what it's hiding is just that fundamental fear of like, I want to show interest in you, but I'm really, really scared you're going to reject me because I don't feel very good about myself. So let me act like a total asshole and say and do all these things as a way to protect myself, so that when you do reject me, I'll just laugh at you.
Yeah, oh God, that's such a clear insight into how men think. One of the problems that I just want to add, one little thing that I don't think men realize is, yes, you get men coming on to you all the time, you get the wolf whistles, but every single woman I know has been inappropriately groped at some point in their life. So it's like, The second a guy comes up to you, you're like, where's his hands? How far is he from my perimeter? Can people hear me? Am I safe? Like, there's all this shit that runs through your mind when a guy just comes up to you.
Yeah.
So a guy, I get it, like the petrifying, if someone's insecure and you're like, oh, hey, you have to do the most horrifying thing. Now expect the poor guy to put himself out there. So I completely understand. The problem is, and this is one of the pickup advice that I have, is it's a numbers game.
Yes.
Which I understand. Like anything, practice, practice, practice.
Yep.
The more you practice, the better you get. I completely get that. The problem is with the pickup world, it's kind of like, just keep asking because eventually someone's going to say yes.
Yeah.
So it's, as a woman, how do you know if, let's say you're at a bar or somewhere and someone's coming up to you, if they genuinely, you find you interesting, right? Versus a guy where he's like, you're number 56. And now I'm moving on to number 57. Like, how do you know when it's genuine interest versus just another notch on their belt?
Yeah. I would say look for like curiosity. Is he asking you questions about yourself? Does he seem actually interested in what you're saying? Does he have things in common with you? Is he interested in some of the same things as you? Is there effort there? Is there curiosity there? Is he thinking about what you're saying to him, or is he just kind of waiting for you to finish talking? And it's crazy to me that this was like, that this was controversial in the men's dating advice industry when it came out. But I talked about in my book how it's like, how you shouldn't optimize for how many women like you. You should optimize for finding how many women you like. And like,
that was controversial?
For men at the time, that was like a light bulb, you know? And it, because all the advice at the time, it was like, he's like, man, you got to go to the bar, you got to talk to 20 chicks, and like, you got to find at least 5 that like you. And I used to go do that. And I, you know, I'd go out, I'd get like 5 phone numbers, and I couldn't tell you a single thing about any of them. And of course they went nowhere, right? And then I shifted my thinking to like, okay, how do I optimize for the people that I'm interested in?
Coming up.
To me, it's that level of intensity, I actually believe is a very large red flag.
What up, my homies? If you're anything like me, then the holidays are just straight up chaos. You're running around buying gifts, planning life, holding it all together, and somewhere in there you've still actually got to eat. But here's the trick. Don't reach for that freaking junk that's just gonna spike your blood sugar and crash your energy. Grab something that actually fuels you and tastes delicious. That's where Magic Spoon cereal and treats are packed with protein and 0 sugar. The cereal has 13 to 14 grams of protein and it has 4 to 5 net grams of carbs per serving. And the crispy treats, 11 to 12 grams of protein with just 1 gram of sugar. Go and click the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen for $5 off. You can also find Magic Spoon on Amazon or in your nearest grocery store. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with 100% happiness guarantee online. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund you your money, no questions asked. My homie, don't settle for garbage. Go and grab Magic Spoon, fill yourself up with a magic treat, all with Magic Spoon. Go check them out. So I actually want to move on now. Talk to me about why women are attracted to narcissists.
Narcissism, it appears as confidence on the surface. So if you are at a distance, narcissism is almost indistinguishable from confidence. And I think that's what's so alluring about it. I think it is human nature to be drawn to people who are very sure of themselves, who speak very confidently, who believe in themselves, who have a lot of certainty. Like there's just something very reassuring about being around a person like that. And narcissists are all of those things. The problem is that a narcissist is completely inflexible in their views and completely self-absorbed and has no time or room for anybody else's input or perspective whatsoever. So it's not really until you get close to them that you start discovering all of those things. But I think the problem I see with people who end up in relationships with narcissists, and by the way, a lot of men end up in relationships with narcissists as well.
Yeah, actually, I remember you saying, I've got a note here that says grandiose narcissists will actually get laid a lot by female vulnerable narcissists.
Yes, they attract each other.
Tell me more.
Yeah, they attract each other. So narcissists and codependents, I mean, they go together like chocolate and peanut butter. It's because they both scratch each other's like insecurity itches, right? So the narcissist needs constant validation to feel normal, and the codependent or the people pleaser needs to constantly give validation to feel normal. And both are rooted in the same core issue, which is that both ultimately feel empty and loathe themselves. But the narcissist strategy is like, well, I loathe myself, so why don't I go out and just get constant validation from people around me to feel better? And the people pleaser strategy is, I loathe myself, so maybe if I go out and validate and help other people constantly, I'll feel better about myself. And so both of those people's toxic patterns match up perfectly, like two puzzle pieces. And so you see them drawn to each other very, very consistently. The emotions are very intense, right? So you get kind of this romantic sweep off your feet type feeling. These are always the relationships where it's like, oh, we met on a Thursday night and we spent the next 72 hours together straight, and he called me 4 times a day for 3 weeks, and it's just like, it's very, very emotionally intense. To me, that level of intensity, I actually believe is a very large red flag. It's like this magical moment, and it's sweeping us away, and we can't stop being together, and we can't stop looking at each other, and we can't stop talking. And it's usually because there's some degree of codependency going on.
Makes complete sense, like magnets.
So another spicy take. Men take this one at face value. Women don't like hearing it. Romance is very overrated, especially early in a. I think it's funny because I think romance is overrated early in a relationship, and it's it's underrated late in a relationship.
Right.
Yeah, because it's. They've actually done studies, like when they look at a human brain that is like swept away on romance, like what's going on in your brain is exactly like cocaine. Like it's the exact same chemicals going off. Rationality goes out the window, bad decision making, you become very impulsive, you become literally addicted to a person. So it is like cocaine, it is fun and exciting, and when you're on it,
from experience, are you, Mark?
Yeah, when you're on it, you feel pretty good. Not gonna lie, but the come down is very harsh, and you're very likely to just make a lot of bad decisions. And there's a tendency when you are very romantically infatuated with somebody. There's a thing in psychology called the halo effect, which is basically the people that we're attracted to, we tend to overestimate their character, right? And you see this all the time, like when they research physically attractive people in the workplace, their coworkers tend to believe that they're more competent than they actually are.
Really?
Yes.
The better looking they are?
The better looking they are. Also, the more trustworthy people assume that they are. There's all sorts of things that go along with attraction, that when you become attracted to somebody, you start making all these assumptions about their character that's actually not necessarily true. And when you're romantically in love with somebody, like you just 10x that, right? They're amazing, they're brilliant, they're gorgeous, they're so kind, they're amazing, and it's like, well, you've known this guy for 3 weeks. Like, what are you talking about? You have no idea who he is, right? And so I tell people, I'm like, look, romance is great. Like, don't get me wrong. It's an incredible feeling, but I think people base too many of their dating decisions and relationship decisions on romance and not on character, compatibility, shared values, a lot of the boring stuff that is not emotionally exciting. But that's the stuff that actually determines whether it's going to be a good relationship or not.
When I first met Tom, he had told me that he was Mr. Poet. He would write poetry, he would buy someone flowers, he would turn up on the first date and he's like, babe, I never got laid, ever. He's like, they just friend zoned me. And then he had a co-worker and he was like, this guy was getting laid left, right and center. So eventually goes up to him and he's like, dude, what's the freaking secret? Like, women are swarming you. He goes, oh, just treat women like shit. So Tom was like, treat women like shit. So he's like, I can't treat women like shit. Like, that doesn't feel good. So what is it that he's picking up on that works for him?
Yeah.
And it is that aloof, that bad boy. Like, the narcissist, I think part of it is they have a little danger to them. And so even when you see the flags a little, I think it can become a little alluring.
Yeah.
And in your book, you actually talk about one guy where you say he went from worshiping women with no respect for himself to worshiping himself with no respect for women. And it worked.
Right. So I think this is true in general, but I think it's particularly true with women. I think female attraction in particular, you are attracted to somebody who has something going on in their lives. I think most women in general feel that. I think that's true of men as well, but I think it's when you look at the differences between what men are attracted to and women are attracted to, I think that's one of the things that's notably different, is that women generally look for a guy he has a life, he's got things going on. But the problem is that, as you pointed out, narcissists also have an identity that they prioritize above any relationship. And so it again, on the exterior, it appears very attractive. It's like, wow, this guy is like, he's really confident, he's really sure of himself, he's got a bunch of things going on, people seem to like him. And he definitely is like, prioritizes himself over whatever I think. So like subconsciously, that is an indicator that this is a guy who's got stuff going on, or he's going places at the very least, right? And you have to be careful and temper that with, okay, yes, it's okay for him to maybe prioritize himself or his own identity over the relationship, but does he still care about the relationship? Does he still care about you? And generally what you find is insecure people, they're either very good about caring about other people and not caring about themselves, or they're very good at caring about themselves and not other people. The trick is to learn how to care about other people and care about yourself. Hold both of those things to be true at the same time. The other thing that's interesting, this kind of touches with the romance thing, is like, it's really unfortunate. I don't know why nature made it this way, but like the things that drive attraction, sexual and romantic interest are not the same things that drive relationship health. Like those are two different categories. There's a Venn diagram and there's some overlap on some of those traits, but those are two completely different categories. Like, and again, this is true for men and women. Like both men and women are sexually and romantically attracted to a lot of traits that they're like, yeah, that would be bad in a relationship. And similarly, there are a lot of things that both men and women are attracted to in a relationship. Like, oh, that'd be a great person to have a long-term relationship with, but it's not super sexy and you're not getting all hot and steamy on a Friday night over it, you know? So it's just important to keep both of those things in mind.
I love that breakdown, by the way. And there was something you said though, that I'm curious, because you said, like you gotta like put in some effort, things like that. You actually have a quote from your book. Even if he's a deadbeat, lacks a good lifestyle, or even if he's terrible at expressing himself, lacks good communication skills, he will eventually meet women who want to date and sleep with him. So what is it that a deadbeat is offering a woman that maybe we overlook the deadbeatness of it?
I would argue that there's a certain amount of narcissism in being a deadbeat, right? Like if I'm gonna lay around on the couch all day and expect people to come take care of me,
oh God, you're right.
There's on some level, some dimension, I am holding myself in very high esteem and putting myself in a very special category. So I'm like a good friend of mine, Scott Barry Kaufman, like kind of pioneered this research in narcissism, and he identified that there's actually two different kinds of narcissists. Most people don't realize this. So the classic narcissist that we all think of is the grandiose narcissist, the person who thinks that they're better than everybody and so they deserve special treatment. But there's a second kind of narcissist, which is the vulnerable narcissist, which is the person who believes that they are worse than everybody, so they deserve special treatment.
And that's the deadbeat.
That's the deadbeat. That's the guy laying on the couch and he's like, man, the world's so unfair. This is bullshit. Like, I can't get a job because everybody's an asshole. Like this, things never go right for me. And if you are an insecure woman who's probably is a people pleaser as well, who is very drawn to taking care and trying to fix people, is attracted to people's potential, not who they are, you find a deadbeat like that and you're like, you know what? Yeah, the world is not treating him fairly. I'm gonna treat him fairly. I'm gonna take care of him. I'm gonna show him that he can do all these great things. I'm gonna, and you're back in the same cycle. And it's once again, it's that desire to feel needed, and that perpetuates it.
Ooh, Oh, dude, that was so good. All right, so tell me the difference between being needed and being needy. Because you tell men, don't be needy.
Yes. When I was writing my book, what I really identified is that ultimately what is attractive is somebody who prioritizes their view of themselves over the views of other people, which I would argue this is actually just a healthy thing, right? Like I care very deeply what my wife thinks about me, but at the end of the day, her view of me is probably number 2 on the hierarchy, but it's never gonna be number 1. And I would argue that it's not healthy for it to ever be number 1. Like I should always value how I see myself more. And what I argue in the book is that anytime we subvert our own view of ourselves and put it under how somebody else views us, that is a form of neediness. Because as soon as you do that, you start needing that other person's approval and validation and attention to feel normal and whole. And that's what drives needy behavior. That's what drives, texting somebody 6 times on a Tuesday night. That's what drives, driving to your ex's house and banging on the door. That's what drives, freaking out. And it's anything where you're like, I need them to pay attention to me or else I don't feel like a good person. That's neediness. And ultimately, neediness is unattractive to anybody who has a healthy relationship with themselves. Anybody who is non-needy is going to be repelled by somebody who is needy. So needy people end up with each other.
That makes sense. Okay, so now let's talk about the difference between men and women in neediness, because I've got another quote of yours.
Okay.
Although neediness is a turn-off for most men, it's not the complete deal breaker that it is for women.
Yeah.
To most women, a man with no neediness is like a woman with perfect tits and gorgeous sculpted ass. To a woman, a man with a lot of neediness is like having the worst breath and missing teeth. I loved it. That was so good.
Oh.
So, tell me the difference then. Why isn't it not a turn-off totally for men, but you think it is for women?
So this gets back into the research on what men and women are attracted to. And I would say most areas of psychology, there's a lot of debate around if there's gender differences or how big those gender differences are. The one area of psychology where there's just very stark differences, and it makes sense why, is around attraction and sexuality.
Yeah.
So obviously the biggest difference between men and women have babies, men don't.
Nice and simple.
So the way humans evolved over hundreds of thousands of years is that generally speaking in hunter-gatherer societies or tribes, the men would go out and risk themselves to go hunt large animals or go find food, and then the women would stay home and take care of the young and manage the community. And this went on for probably 98% of human history. So it makes sense that women are going to be sexually attracted to a man who is confident, independent, is pretty self-assured, believes he can accomplish something, and is resourceful, right? Men, on the other hand, it makes sense that their attraction is going to be driven a little bit more by caretaking. Do I feel good around her? Do I feel supported? Do I feel nurtured? Is she nice? Is she sweet? So on the neediness front, what you see sometimes is like men will end up with a very needy woman and they'll be like, yeah, it drives me crazy. Like I wish she didn't text me 6 times a night, but she treats me well and she's really sweet and I have a really good time with her. So I'll handle it, right? Whereas if you're the type of guy who is driving over to a woman's house and banging on her door in the middle of the night, crying, asking why she doesn't love him, there's probably nothing more repellent to the female psychology than that.
You kind of convinced me there.
Yeah, it's just grow some stones, man. I hate to be that old-fashioned about it, but it is you do see it borne out in the research. And this is why it's ultimately, as a man, you can get away with a lot of stuff. You can be kind of rough around the edges. You can have, maybe you're not like the most sociable guy in the world. Maybe you're a little awkward. But if you seem resourceful and you seem self-assured and you seem to be able to handle yourself, like that's going to take you a long way.
I've got a follow-up question though. Where is that difference then between them being needy and then needing you? Because you want to break my heart, just tell me that my husband doesn't need me.
Yeah.
So where's that like almost fine line for a woman? Because a woman does want to feel needed.
Of course. I would clarify it because they sound similar, but I think they're actually very different things. So the neediness is really about attention and validation. I would say the needing somebody, like when I think about like what I need my wife for, I would say it's emotional support and companionship in a life that we're building together, right? Like, and those may sound like similar things, but they're actually completely different. The validation piece is very much like, I feel insecure and insignificant unless she smiles at me or she wants to hang out with me or she kisses me, you know? And like, that's just a very like ick place to be. Yeah. Whereas needing your partner on an emotional level is really like, hey, I've invested, I mean, with my wife at this point, I've invested 14 years of my life with her, right? We've built a beautiful life together. She's my best friend. She's my companion. She's my partner. She's my confidant, right? And you earn that too, right? Like I think part of the neediness piece is like people show up on day one expecting that. And it's like, no, you earn, like my wife and I, we put in the years together to get to this place.
Yeah, I think you really hit the nail on the head there. That's exactly it. Oh, I love it. Okay. And now talking about a lot of like negative things about men, I'd love to like actually move to the positive. Okay. So because it's very important for me to also talk about green flags and what, you know, a really good man looks like. And you actually say that the 3 fundamentals that a man needs. And so I'd love to go through those. Okay. So you say number 1 is honest living. For a woman, so let's say I'm looking for a guy that has these 3 things. Yep. How do I identify that guy is doing the honest living?
Yeah. So what you see with a lot of insecure people, and women do this as well, is that they worry about their hobbies. They're like, well, I'm really into this, but you know, women aren't into that. You know, like you see this especially with kind of nerdy guys. They're like, well, I love comic books, but like such a turn, you know, girls say comics are an ick or whatever. And so you're already undermining yourself there to begin with because you are now prioritizing somebody else's perception of you over your own. And then 2, if you don't allow yourself to pursue the things that you care about in your life, by pursuing those things, that's where you're gonna meet the people most compatible for you.
That's actually great advice also for women, because I think also we do the same thing. It's like, well, you can't just hide this part of you, just hide this part of you. And then you do start to like, put on a facade of who you are, and then just diminish your own loves and hobbies. And I actually remember one of the things that was so attractive, actually it's all coming together now, one of the things that was so attractive to me about my husband, he just owns that he loves toys. Like he just owns that he loves comic books. Yeah. There was no ounce of like, should I be even shameful for saying this out loud? He was just glowing. Yeah. And I remember thinking like, he's not bashful. He really doesn't give a shit what I think. Yeah. Okay, so we've got number 2. This is the green flags. Number 2, honest actions.
Yes. This could be summarized as simple as does he walk the walk? Like a lot of men in particular will talk a big game, will tell you about all the things that they're gonna do and all the things that they wanna do. But is he actually getting out there and doing it? If you're interested in her, tell her you're interested in her. If you want to see her again, ask to see her again. You know, don't pussyfoot around and be like, well, I don't know, like I need the right thing to text, or I need to wait 3 days because that's what some like, you know, guy on TikTok told me to do. It's if you want something, just say what you want and take action towards it. And I think ultimately, not just women, but people respect that. Coming back to trust and reliability, I think it's the trust piece is particularly important for women. that they need to know that the man that they're with is going to do the things that he says he's going to do.
That's so true. And one of the things that I think with dating and then having a long-term relationship is you end up either proving it or not, right? You either build your credibility that every single time I say that I'm going to do something, you've seen that I've done it without fail for 10 years. It's like, okay, you built the credibility versus someone that just every so often just keeps letting you down.
I think the trust thing too, it's one of those, you get stricter about it the older you get, you know, because I think when you're young and you're a little bit more naive and you're like, well, let's see, like maybe he'll change or maybe she'll change and maybe we can fix it. Maybe we'll get counseling or she's going to therapy now. And as I've gotten older, it's just, you learn to, if somebody breaks my trust these days, it's like, okay, nice knowing you.
Coming up.
The thing that makes a creep is that it's not really, he doesn't really care what the woman thinks. He's just trying to get something from you.
What up, my homies? Let's be honest, sticking to a routine is one of the hardest parts of staying healthy. And that's where Avalon comes in. Guys, this isn't just another rower, it's an actual game changer because it's built on actual game psychology. So Avalon makes working out something that you actually look forward to because they gamify it. Now you're talking my language. They've got immersed scenic rows and guided classes to full-on interactive games, and even you can watch Netflix while you move. So it's designed to keep your body moving while your mind is engaged. Now, if rowing's not your thing, don't worry, because Avalon also has a gamified treadmill, which is insanely good, and an award-winning bike. Now this season, give yourself a gift that actually lasts longer than a box of chocolates. Give yourself something for your health, your energy, your body, and your mind, because that will help you build your confidence. So Avalon is offering their best prices of the year right now. Click the link below and use my code for an additional discount off any Avalon product. Because let me tell you, your future self will thank you. Okay, and then we've got number 3 under green flags is honest communication.
Yes. This in many ways, I think, is the hardest for everybody. It's actually saying what you feel and what you mean. And I think men and women struggle with this in different ways. I think what I observe is that women struggle with this more in terms of like not wanting to upset other people or like cause conflict. And what I notice with men is just simply not wanting to show vulnerability. And it's obviously not healthy. It's not good for relationships. And it obviously prevents you from having honest communication and transparency with your partner. The funny thing about honest communication is, once again, I would say 90% of dishonest communication, it's not intentional. It's because people are scared and they're insecure and they are, in many cases, not even aware that they're being dishonest, right? Like if I don't know that I'm angry or sad, how the hell can I tell you that I'm angry or sad? Right?
Because you're saying if I haven't been taught how to even process it or recognize it.
Yeah, I don't even know, right? So of course I'm gonna lie about it because I'm lying to myself.
It's like a liar will pass a polygraph test if they believe their own lies.
Exactly.
I never thought of dishonest communication as not being deliberate, but you've just really broken that.
Yeah, I mean, look, everybody lies to some extent. It's impossible to be 100% honest 100% of the time. But a lot of that is because we lie to ourselves. We hide things from ourselves. We deny things. We pretend things didn't happen. I don't think we ever hit 100% honesty, but I think it's extremely important to get good at being honest at the important things. You know, so much of the pickup artist stuff, you asked me about like faking disinterest and, you know, pretending you're not into her. I always thought it was so ridiculous. And when I really got on this honesty kick, I actually started kind of asking myself, like, okay, how far does this go? And I started experimenting with, I would walk up to a random woman and I would say, hi, how are you? My name's Mark. I just noticed you walking by and I think you're absolutely gorgeous. And I was just wondering if, you know, you were open to getting a coffee sometime. And I was shocked. That did so much better than all the other shit combined.
The not working.
And it was like, even when the amazing thing too is like when you do it politely like that, like with respect, like even when you get shot down, it is like the most heartwarming rejection. Like I would have women just be like, oh my God, you just made my day. I have a boyfriend, but like, thank you so much. And I'm like, yeah, good for him. He's a lucky guy. And she'd be like, oh my God, thank you. You know, it was just like, suddenly it took this like very scary, intimidating like, power struggle approach to dating. And it just like, it made it very simple and like, I don't know, warm, warm-hearted.
That's so amazing because, sometimes we do have a good creep radar.
Yeah.
And so we sense the creeps around us
Yes.
and when it's bullshitting. The problem sometimes is when we ignore a gut feeling and that's where then we end up getting trapped by all of these toxic maneuvers.
Yeah. The thing that makes a creep is that it's not really, he doesn't really care what the woman thinks. He's just trying to get something from you, right? And that's what's creepy about it.
You say that there are 3 types of women. So I want you to tell me what you teach men about identifying these types of women and what it means. So you say, number 1, you got the unreceptive woman, the neutral woman, or the receptive woman.
Yes. So basically, when you have this very honest approach, part of the whole point of it is that you find out where you are very quickly. Like I think one of the most frustrating thing for both men and women in dating is that you spend all this time chit-chatting and flirting and like you never really find out where you are. And so I created these 3 buckets, and I used to teach men. I said, okay, there's receptive, there's unreceptive, and then there's neutral, which is kind of like undecided. And so receptive is very simple. It's like a woman who responds very warmly. She's obviously excited. She's like maybe compliments you back, is clearly very happy to be talking to you, right? Unreceptive is obviously, in many cases, it's a negative reaction. Like she's not engaging, she's being polite, but she's like clearly not interested or participating at all in the conversation. And so with the receptive women, it's like awesome, green light, full speed ahead. Unreceptive women, I think in the book, I say give it 60 seconds. Don't waste any time after that. And then you have the undecideds, which are the women who like seem skeptical, but they're like, okay, let me see where this goes. And a lot of women have only experienced shitty, insecure men. And so when an honest, confident guy shows up, they're like, wait a second, is this a trick?
Well, because it served us, right? You're better to be skeptical than let a stranger into your village if you're going back into, evolution.
Exactly.
It's like you're better off
Exactly.
being skeptical of the person and making sure they don't enter the village, then inviting them in and then finding out that they're actually toxic or bad.
Yeah. So the goal with an undecided woman is to simply continue showing who you are and continue showing interest. And that's it, until eventually she will polarize into one of the 2 buckets.
Okay, I'd love to now move on. You talk about this actually, there's 2 main things that actually can establish whether a relationship is healthy or if it's unhealthy. And so you say number 1 is how well each of you accepts responsibility.
So the easiest way to spot an unhealthy relationship is when 2 people are expecting the other to take responsibility for how they feel, right? So if I show up, like let's say I get stuck in traffic on the way home today and I get back to the house and I'm in just a shit mood and I expect it's my wife's job to cheer me up, that's a really unhealthy dynamic because now I'm like holding her responsible for something that she actually doesn't control. But you see this happen all the time in relationships where people will literally say like, you made me sad, so you have to do this, this, and this. And it's like, well, I can influence your emotions, but I can't like go inside your brain and like force you to be sad about something. So there's like the most fundamental boundary is that there is a boundary around my emotions are mine, I'm responsible for them. Obviously, you can influence them, but you do not own them or cause them or create them. I do. And vice versa, right? But it's that sort of mindset of like owning her emotions as my problem. It leads down in many ways that kind of, it is the definition of a codependent dynamic.
Yeah, that made me, I used to say that all the time. And what's amazing is in the moment, it feels so wonderful because you're like, it's all their fault. They made me feel like it's so like, right? It's like if you're really insecure, it's actually easier to blame the other person.
Totally.
You made me shout, you made me.
I didn't want to be angry.
Yeah, exactly.
You made me angry.
Yes. The moment I realized you're giving your power away.
Yeah.
Like as a woman, if I want to be assured, if I want self-worth, if I want my confidence in isolation, not with my husband, but in isolation, I have to be able to own my emotions, own my feelings. And the moment I had stopped saying, you made me, I felt even more powerful. It actually made me feel more confident and more powerful to say, I messed up. I shouldn't have shouted. I got angry. I apologize. Like that is so much more powerful now than blaming someone else.
Because it opens up the potential for improvement, right? And coming back to the narcissistic codependent dynamic, like what you see consistently is that narcissists expect other people to be responsible for how they feel, and codependents take responsibility for how other people feel.
Oh, yeah. All right. So then talk to me about the scorecard that a lot of couples do, where it's like, you did this, I did that. So like kind of again, not owning that responsibility.
So once you're in that pattern of it's your fault that I'm angry, oh, you made me sad, you did this thing last month, so now you have to make it up for me, and blah, blah, blah. You start getting into this power dynamic, and people will start, they start creating what I call the relationship scorecard, which is basically like, okay, since you're now controlling my emotions, I'm gonna keep track of all the times you hurt me, and then I'm gonna hold that against you to get what I want. I mean, I don't even know how to describe like how unhealthy of a dynamic that it becomes, because it's not only at that point, not only are you no longer respecting your autonomy in your agency, you're now no longer respecting theirs either.
Is it like a zero-sum game where it's like no one actually wins? Because when you're in a partnership like that, in that moment, maybe you feel like you've won, quote unquote. But it's like, what kind of dynamic do you have? Like with me and my husband, the analogy I just love is I think of our relationship as a game of tennis. The question is you get to choose whether you're playing a game of singles or a game of doubles. And so a game of singles is you're on one side of the net, your partner's on the other. Only one of you can win. And what do? You hit the ball at them, hoping they'll miss. When you're playing a game of doubles, you're on the same side. If you win, I win. If you lose, I lose.
The best thing I've come across around this is there's a book called Nonviolent Communication, and it's very tactical. It's about the phrasing of all these different things. So most people will default to saying like, you made me angry, and what nonviolent communication will teach you to do is actually say, when you do that, I feel angry as a result. Therefore, could you please stop doing that?
I love it. And then you say number 2, so the way to see between a healthy and unhealthy relationship is the willingness to reject or be rejected by their partner.
It's the willingness to say no, and it's the willingness to hear no. I think in any healthy relationship, each partner feels free to say no or to reject an idea from the other one, and is also open to hearing no from their partner. It comes back to that respect for agency, and it comes back to, there are plenty of things that I think or want to do that my wife's not really on board with, and I'm like, all right, well, I guess we'll do something else, and vice versa.
Me and my husband have phrases like, no, but I would do it if it's important to you.
Yes.
And so even the word important, we don't abuse. So like we probably say that word maybe twice a year.
Oh, wow.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's like, it carries that much weight.
Yeah.
So even when he's like, do you want to blah, 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 or can you? And I'm like, no, I really don't want to. Is it important? He'll think about it. And he's like, no, it's not important. I'm like, I don't want to do it then.
Yeah.
He goes, all right, don't. And he's like, yeah, it's really important to me. I was like, cool, I am there, I'm in spirit. But also the spirit, not just I'm there, I'm actually excited and encouraging. And so, I found that really made such a difference.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
One that we use a lot is low conviction, high conviction with like ideas. So sometimes I'll sit down with my wife and I'm like, got an idea. What if we, low conviction, what if we moved to Tahiti, or something like that. Whereas if I'm like, no, this is a high conviction perspective, it means it's like, no, this is like a hill I'm willing to die on.
Right, like actually pay attention. I love that. Okay, so now I want to move on. So you talk about the 3 harsh truths about love. And let's just go through them. All right, we got number 1, love doesn't equal compatibility.
Yes. This comes back to romance being overrated early in a relationship. You can fall in love with somebody who's not good for you. It's not a good relationship, and it's better that we're not in that relationship. It's funny because I think love kind of gets idealized a lot in our culture, and people assume that, okay, well, because I love somebody or we love each other, we're gonna find a way to make it work.
Right.
Like anything can be fixed because we love each other. And
Love conquers all.
Love conquers all, right? But I think that's unrealistic. From what I understand from all the data and research, like it's just not accurate. You can fall in love with somebody who's not compatible with you, who's not good for you, who's not gonna make you happy. And as a result, we should actually downgrade how much we prioritize romantic love early on.
Do you find more women get trapped in that than men?
I think so. I think women definitely idealize love a lot more. I think there's a lot more kind of social pressure around it. But it's funny, actually, if you look at, there's a lot of really interesting data on divorces and breakups. Men actually recover worse from divorces and breakups, which you wouldn't expect.
Yeah. No, I actually had this recently. I can't remember who was telling me, but they were explaining to me it's because women have social groups. And so you have that support, you have that emotional thing where you can go to your friends and cry and say he was an asshole. And, you know, a lot of women have divorce parties and, you know, it's like, come on, girl, you go, you know, so it's like, he was an asshole in a way, which I love. Like, if it really was toxic and you're leaving, like, let's freaking celebrate. But men don't have circles. Like, how often does a guy go to another guy and is like, how you feeling, man? Like, you're all right. Or, you know, there was one story recently, my husband found out from one of our friends, something really big. And I was like, oh my God, tell me more. He goes, I don't know anymore. I'm like, didn't you ask follow-up questions? He's like, no. So it's like guys don't have that intimate talk. Do you think that's why they find it hard to recover?
That's a huge part of it. It's never really socially acceptable. It's funny, my wife is obsessed with this show called Love is Blind.
Oh my God, I've seen one season. It's so fun.
It's really fun. And for people who are listening who've never seen the show, it's, you know, people date without seeing what each other look like. They have to propose to be able to see what the other one looks like. And the whole time that this is happening, all the men are living in a house together and all the women are living in a house together. Yeah. But it was super fascinating because so these couples they were going into the pods, the men were proposing and they're coming back into the pods. And when the women would come back to the house, as soon as the girl opened the door, all the other girls would like stop what they're doing and look and be like, so? And then she'd like show the ring or whatever. And then like everybody starts screaming, like, oh my God, group hug. And like women are crying and they're so happy for each other. And it was so amusing watching the guys because
what do the guys do?
Because the guy would come back in and like all the, you know, it's like all the guys are like at the table playing cards or something. And they'd all just kind of look up and they'd be like, so what happened? And be like, we're doing it. And be like, my man, you know, like that's it. And it would be really funny because there were like these segments too that you could tell like the producer tried to force them to talk about it because like there'd be like two guys sitting there and like one of the guys would be like very awkwardly be like, so are you in love with her? And then the other guy would be like very awkward like, yeah man, she's really special to me, you know. And it's just like so
the men's pod would be so bloody boring because they wouldn't talk about anything.
It's so painful to watch.
Amazing.
It's so painful.
Oh, dear, that's too funny. Oh, yeah, the difference is insane.
Can I add
to
that?
Please, yes.
There is a male version of that.
Okay.
Which is, I think, men get trapped by sex. Women get trapped by love.
Interesting. Say more.
I can't tell you how many guy friends I've known over the years who will be in a relationship with a very toxic woman. It's very manipulative, very narcissistic, very controlling, and you will just watch their self-esteem just get beaten down month after month after month. But like, you know, you hang out with them and you're like, dude, why do you put up with this? And it's just like, at the end of the day, it's like, man, she fucks my brains out. She's so hot. She's sexy. She like does all the crazy shit I want to do. Like it's sad. But so when I have conversations with men, I'm like, dude, your dick is not that important. It's just like, come on, man. Like you are a full human being. You have thoughts and interests and beliefs and like a whole future in front of you. Do not sacrifice it for your dick. But men really struggle with that.
Wow. Dude, I've never thought about that.
But I think it's because men derive a lot of their self-esteem from sex.
Yeah.
Right? So we grow up saying like, if you're getting laid, if your girlfriend's super hot, if she's sexy, if like you're, you know, you're doing everything you want to do in the bedroom, like you're the man.
And same with a woman. A woman's as long as you're married, as long as a man loves you and got your ring on, you're done. You're good.
Yeah. Who cares how they treat you? If you think about it like from an evolutionary point of view, pregnancy is a massive risk. Massive risk. Like you're already vulnerable, but then on top of that, you're like carrying this child inside of you for 9 months, and then you give birth, and then you're breastfeeding, and you're carrying this infant around for like another 2 years. Like it's like 3 years of your life that you are just a sitting duck in terms of, you know, predators and prey. And so you need to make sure a guy's gonna stick around, and he's gonna be there when you need him, and he's gonna stand up if you need him to do something, and he's gonna protect you if a threat shows up. And so it makes sense. And then on the guy's side, it's brutal to think about it this way, but like it's from a genetic or evolutionary point of view, you know, women's willingness to have sex with you is in many ways kind of an indictment on how valuable your genetics are, right? And so if no woman wants to sleep with you, what is very much programmed into a man's psyche is that like you're not valuable, right? Because if you were valuable, women would be lining up to sleep with you. So you need to go find women who will line up to sleep with you to prove to yourself that you're valuable.
Oh, yeah. Wow, yeah, that's so interesting. Okay, so now moving on to the second harsh truth. The first one was so hard.
Where do we go from here?
It's only down, guys. It's only down. All right, so we've got number 2. Love doesn't solve relationship problems. How many people do you see think that if they just stay, it's going to be solved?
Yeah. Oh, all
like
the
if
time.
I just love him more.
All the time. Yeah. It's if I just love him more, if I support him more, if I'm there for him more, if I do this, if I do that, it's look, feelings don't solve real problems. You can love somebody as hard as you want to love them, but if they have a major life issue, or if you have a significant incompatibility in terms of values or worldviews, like there's no surmounting it. And it's the illusion that love can solve these very real, tangible problems gets people into a lot of difficult situations. And on top of that, I think love in many cases can complicate them, because you feel like you can heal somebody with your love, that you can fix somebody if you love them enough. And what you end up doing is just enabling them to self-destruct even further.
Yeah, and they know, oh, you're going to stay no matter what.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I have known in the past a couple of women who got pregnant in hoping that the guy would stay.
Oh, yeah. People have a kid thinking that it will solve a marriage problem. People will get married thinking it will solve a relationship problem. People have a second kid because thinking that it'll solve the problem that started when they had the first. You know, so it's just people will double down in this department.
All right, so we got the third harsh truth about love. Love doesn't solve your problems. In fact, it often creates more problems for you.
Speaking from experience.
Go on.
I mean, it comes back to falling in love with somebody who's not good for you, right? You know, it's you can.
How was your ex not good for you?
Oh, she and I, you know, my first girlfriend, she and I were both very deeply insecure.
Is this the girlfriend that cheated on you?
Yeah, she cheated on me, left me, which then hurt me very deeply, obviously. And I think added kind of an anger on top of, there was a lot of insecurity and just dysfunction inside of me already, but then when she did that, it added an anger on top of it. And a kind of an angry hurt towards women. And so I think that's when I found the pickup artist stuff. And when you're a person who's been like very deeply hurt and you're very angry, you can justify things to yourself. You know, you can say like, well, yeah, fuck them.
Did she somewhat paint a picture of how you saw all women after that then? Like, was it like, yeah, they be bitches, I'm gonna go cheat on them? Like, was it like that anger had triggered anger towards women?
Yeah, it wasn't conscious.
Right.
It just came out that way, right? Because it's like, obviously, when the first person that you date or have an intimate relationship with hurts you that bad, it's impossible to date other people without associating them with that first person, right?
Yeah.
So I went into every relationship expecting the worst and zero trust from the get-go. And when you're in a place where you have low expectations and low trust, it's easy to justify your own bad behavior. You're like, well, this is what women have done to me, so why shouldn't I get what I want occasionally? And then you kind of repeat this cycle, right? So it's behind every asshole is a bitch that broke his heart, and behind every bitch is an asshole that broke her heart. So the cycle just perpetuates, down through the generations. I also too, I had a lot of insecurities around masculinity as well. So, kind of being the player, hooking up with a lot of girls, it was filling that void as well. So, proving that I'm as masculine or as much of a man as like some of the other guys. And so what I discovered in college, once I did kind of discover the pickup stuff, I discovered I was really good at it. Like I can talk, I'm clever, I can make jokes, I can tell a good story, and women like that. And so as long as I kind of had like a framework guiding me on where to go with it, I did really well. And pretty soon in school, I became known as the guy who just hooked up with girls all the time.
Oh, so you were the player.
I was the player.
Oh.
And that felt really good, especially coming from my previous relationship and coming from my experience growing up and everything. Like that was very validating. But as I got further into my 20s, what I saw is that it was just completely incompatible with any sort of satisfying relationship whatsoever. Like just lots of disappointments, lots of upsetting different women, disappointing different women, cheating on different women.
So you started to then cheat.
Yeah.
Oh. Had you cheated before that?
No. And it's funny, so with my second girlfriend, the roles were reversed, which was I became the narcissist and she was the people pleaser. And she was trying to fix me. And it's really interesting looking back now because and this is why I said early on in the episode that those two people are not that different. Like they are the same person, because you will see I flipped, and I've seen many other people in my life flip on a dime as well. Like it's not very far to go from vulnerable narcissist to grandiose narcissist and back again. All you do is you just flip your relationship with the world. And for the first 20 years of my life, my script inside of me was, every woman is better than me. I would be lucky to be with any of them. And then when I had my heart broken, it doesn't take much to flip that script and say, oh, I'm better than every woman. They're lucky to be with me. And you have the same level of delusion. You just reverse the placeholders. And so I ended up in a relationship with a great girl in my 20s who unfortunately took the task on herself to try to fix me, and cheated on her a bunch of times. Was just like very selfish. Was just an asshole. And it's really sad because she was great. Like she was a really good person. And I eventually reached a point with her where I was like, I really respect her, but I keep hurting her. So like clearly something's wrong with me. And that was the moment where I went and tried to go figure my own shit out. And that eventually led me to all this.
Wow. So do you think that flip of power, it's because you were hurt, you instinctually think, well, I don't want to feel this again, so it's better that you're the person that is causing the pain versus receiving the pain?
Absolutely. It's self-preservation. Yeah.
All right, gonna move on. So in everything we've been speaking about, I love how we've broken down the differences and thinking through what toxic behavior looks like, what honest, genuine behavior looks like. Sometimes it's the, different side of the same coin. But now to end on a positive note, you talk about the number one key to successful relationship is trust and respect.
Yeah.
So why are those two things so important?
I would argue that without trust and respect, no amount of love matters. And in fact, without trust and respect, love becomes harmful, right? Because it's what keeps you in a place where you're not being trusted and respected.
So literally, with love, it can be toxic, really harmful, or beautiful. And that all depends on whether you have these two elements of trust and respect.
Love is not by itself a good thing. It's an amplifier. It amplifies whatever the relationship already is. So if you have a very damaging, unhealthy dynamic, love will just make that unhealthy dynamic 10 times more unhealthy and more painful.
Oh my gosh, you're so right.
And if you have a beautiful, loving relationship, love will just amplify that 10x. So love by itself is actually strangely neutral. And so you have to be very careful who you allow yourself to love and who loves you in return. But if you don't have trust, it's impossible to not fall into a power dynamic, right? Like, because if you don't trust a person, then the only way you can still be around them is to try to manipulate them and control like what they do, or guarantee some sort of behavior out of them, which means now you're manipulating them, you're trying to influence them, which means that you don't have intimacy. You're probably keeping a scorecard. It's probably a mess. So without trust, everything just falls apart. Respect, I think respect is in many ways rarer and deeper and more important than love is. And respect is simply, I would say, it's allowing yourself to be influenced by another person. If my wife has an opinion, if I didn't respect her, I wouldn't even bother listening, right? But because I respect her so much, not only do I listen, but let's say her opinion contradicts one of my own, I will sit there and reevaluate what I think. Like, because I respect her, I will try to understand, well, why do you want that thing, and what's motivating you about it, and what's appealing about it. Without respect, I think it's none of this other stuff works.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I literally just had Adam Lane Smith on, and he was telling me that saying to a man you respect him is one of the most powerful things you can ever do and say. And it never really dawned on me to say it, because to your point, it's like you either feel respected or you don't. You feel disrespected or you don't.
Yeah.
And so I went up to Tom and I was like, I respect you. And he looked so shocked. And I said, how do you feel about that? And he was like, it feels really good. And I was like, what's more important, respect or love? And he goes, to be honest, he's like, if you didn't respect me, I could never be with you.
Yeah.
It's like the one thing, like love has like almost like ebbs and flows in this.
Yes.
And like, I feel really loved today. And now, not so much, but respect, he's like, it's either there or it's not. And if it's not there, we're done.
I was just gonna say, it's the times in my relationship that I feel unloved, generally speaking, I kind of assume that it's like, well, she's probably stressed, or maybe she didn't sleep last night, or maybe she forgot. I'm like very forgiving of it, or I kind of assume the best. But it's funny, when I feel disrespected, that's usually when a fight starts.
Oh, Mark Manson, dude, this has been so fun. Thank you so much for coming on. If they want to go deeper into your world, where can they find you?
They can find everything website's markmanson.net. I'm literally on every platform. So anything any social media or YouTube or whatever. I also have a podcast. It's called The Solve Podcast. It's on Spotify, Apple, everywhere you listen to podcasts. Check it out.
That's cool. And I love your YouTube channel, by the way.
Thank you.
Love it. Guys, I was so excited to have this man on. We've known each other for 8-9 years now.
A while, yeah.
A while. And so having him on today was such an honor. The way he thinks, the no-hold-barred way that he delivers things, like, it's exactly what I want. That's why you come to Women of Impact, so you can get the truth. We're here to build our confidence together, and we can't do that if we're mollycoddling each other. We can only do it by addressing the truth, being honest. And today he's just showered us with so much information. So guys, please go check him out. If you're not following me, smash that subscribe button down there. And until next time, be the hero of your own life. Peace.
Yay.
That was so good.
That was fun.
If you've just seen too many red flags in your life and you want to start spotting the green flags in a guy, then you're definitely going to want to watch this episode here with a masculinity coach, Jason Wilson. As someone who coaches men in masculinity, help us women finally understand, why does a man